full of food. So I am so sorry for the delayed response.
Monica, all is well. Health is wealth, man. It keeps you going. Glad to have you on here.
Thank you.
Oh, let's see.
Let's start me a watch party too. Your other phone.
All right. All right. So welcome everybody. It's so good to have one of those Fridays where I look to a long weekend, and for the first time going into Memorial Day weekend, I have neither a 5K, Carnival weekend, because Carnival in Atlanta is usually packed and it's right during Memorial Day weekend. There's no exercise class, no line dance party. I am going to be at my house cooking out by myself. But that doesn't mean that we can't get together leveraging technology to have a quick conversation, just thinking about the things and the times that we're going through. And you know, as I get started in this conversation, because there's so many things happening in our world with the pandemic and social distancing and the impacts on our economy, that I find a lot of people have not been physically affected by the physical infection, but are going through a great deal of anxiety financially, mentally, and psychologically. Just looking for a way to make sure that certain things are taken care of, because there are basic needs that everybody has in life. And as you know, the title of this message, this particular presentation, we're talking about finances on Friday. How many of you feel like it's a good day to talk about getting paid every day?
Great day.
And so I'm going to share some concepts and key information with you that was shared with me, hopefully to put you in a position where you can take yourself, your family, your life to the next level financially. Now, by way of background, because I feel like anytime someone's going to share information with you on something as vital as finance in such difficult times as the ones we're facing today, that it's important that you know who that person is. Now, those of you that are my Facebook friends, you've known me for years. I've been, I was actually born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm one of those few proud Atlanta natives. And I did everything that people told us to do. They said where I'm from, and it's actually a small town outside Atlanta called East Point, 7th largest city in Georgia. Go to school, get good grades so that you can go to college, get a good job with benefits, and live happily ever after. Now, before I get started, do two things for me. Type in where you're from and if they said the same thing to you. So your city and where you're from. Let's see if the check-in says the same thing about folks on here.
Let's see.
And if you're on live, you can type it over there. I just want to know where you're from and if that story was the same. Because here's how it worked out in my life. They told me the same thing. In Birmingham, they said the same thing. In St. Louis, they said the same thing. All over the country, people were told the same thing, but here's the result that I got, because I did exactly what they said to the best of my ability. I went through school and I got great grades. From my 8th grade through senior year, I was below 93. Now, what'd you call that person at your school? Well, they call me those things too. Nerd, geek, bookworm, all of those things. But the last day and from then on, they call me valedictorian. I graduated top of my class from Frederick Douglass High School and had an academic scholarship to go to Duke University. At Duke University, I was a double major. I double majored electrical engineering and computer science and graduated in that time to be in the sweet spot of technology, meaning I was in the right place at the right time and quickly grew from a starting job to a 6-figure income. By the time I was 25 years old, I was in 6 figures and I've been there ever since. But here's the thing, I'm still broke. Now, I don't know if any of you can relate to making more money than you ever thought you would, but still not having enough. And it wasn't because I was extra flashy or wasn't conservative in the way that I spent. There were just fundamental things that were lacking in all that education. Because I'm telling you, I went to every class, but what was not taught was financial literacy 101, wealth mastery 202, investments for growth, tax strategy. All the things that I needed to know financially were not a part of the curriculum. And I found myself falling further and further behind being frustrated by what I did not know, but wanted to know more about. Can anybody relate to realizing that there's a gap in what you know? Show of hands, thumbs up. Okay. So we're talking to the right people. So I'm going to go back and forth between conversation and sharing some information from my screen. When you can see my screen, just give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you can see it clearly, knowing that we will be back and forth in interaction throughout our conversation today. Is that fine? Oops, not that screen though. You don't have to see me on Facebook. All right. And that's how you know that it is live, when stuff really happens in real life. Anybody ever have stuff happen in real life for you? All right, so back to this slide. The money lunch. It's important that we eat our greens. So a couple of things just to point out, pulled a couple of things from headlines and key conversations that are happening. Byproduct of everything that's happening with COVID is that Congress just approved another $2 trillion in stimulus. Now, stimulus is money that's being put into accounts to keep the economy going, but we all have to recognize what's the source of money that the government spends is taxes. So we're either going to pay on the front end or the back end, but that's a concern for me. I don't know about, is anybody else concerned, like asking themselves, where's this money coming from and when will I have to give it back? Now, the second category is just thinking about a retirement statistic. I was doing a presentation for New Life Church yesterday with my partner, Yaz Anderson, and she shared this statistic from the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. And it says, out of 100 people living in the United States of America today who start working at the age of 25, by the age of 65, 1% will be considered wealthy, 4% will have adequate capital for retirement, 3% will still be working, 63% will be dependent on Social Security, friends, relatives, or charity, and 29% would be dead. Now, I don't know which statistic jumped out at you the most, but here's what jumped out to me. If you add those two numbers together, 63 plus 29, that's 92%. 92% of Americans at by the age of 65, when it's supposed to be our golden years, will be dead or dead broke if we don't do something different than what we've been doing. It's just, you know, a further indictment of a system of education that gives us enough information to work, but not enough to create wealth. So if you, as a matter of fact, let me ask a poll, because I do want to make sure that I tailor my conversation to the audience today. I'm going to launch a quick poll here. I think the same poll is live for you over in Facebook land. And the financial question is a financial change question. And it's just which, if you think about your entire financial picture, your financial life, which area would you like to improve the most? I'll let this ride for about 15 to 30 seconds because it doesn't take long. You want to reduce your bills, you want to get out of debt, you want to increase income, you want to increase investment income, all of the above. I just want to know who I'm talking to so I know which things to focus on as we go through our conversation today. Okay. We're at roughly 50% have voted. If you're in a place to vote, let's get your votes in. I'm going to stop this one at 45 seconds. 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, let's end the poll. Let's share the results and see what it looks like to you. So let's share so that you can see what we got. So we got 10% of people want to get out of debt, 40% want to invest for growth, 21% want to increase income, and 50%, half the people want to do all of it. And I get it, because that's actually literally what we need to do to improve our situation financially, and it comes in incremental steps. Now, second thing, so I shared first, Congress's $1 trillion stimulus budget, retirement statistics based on if we continue to do what we're doing, meaning the other fact that goes with 92% of people being in this position and them being uneducated about the flow of money. Last thing is I want to share a text. It was actually one of my favorite books of all time. How many of you have read the book Cashflow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki? Show of hands, thumbs up. Okay, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it was his second book. Robert Kiyosaki, I know he's best known for the work that he did in the books Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which were eye-opening for me. They really helped me adjust my emotional intelligence, build an appetite for understanding business models and other things. But in the Cashflow Quadrant, he built the model of where sources of money are in our world. Now, it turns out in the capitalist economy, and we are in the United States of America, our system is capitalism. It's important that we learn how to become capitalists. Most of us
give me a break.
start out in the position of an employee, meaning they have a job and that's their source of income. There's, in traditional training, you'll find that many of my friends, Duke University happens to be home of Duke University Medical Center, so one of the highest producing centers for people in the S quadrant, self-employed. We're talking doctors, lawyers, independent engineers, real estate professionals. All of those folks are in the left side of the quadrant where the majority of income comes from their own efforts. On the right side of the quadrant, you have a business owner. Now, the difference between a business owner and a self-employed person is relatively the number of people in the business system and how much work gets done by you. So, for example, the doctor who is the head of healthcare over a healthcare system is a part of a larger business. And then the last category, so in a business, the system works for you. And the system means a combination of processes and people that do the work so that combined, everybody gets more things done. And then the last category is the investor, where money works for you. Are we clear on the quadrants? Now, here's the reality for most Americans. If we really want to retire with dignity, if we want to get to the place where at one point we don't have to work for money, we have to move from the E quadrant. If you're the only source of income, well, the outcome is broke. And that's what's happening for most people. Now, let me come out of presentation mode, make sure that that's clear for everybody. Now, did everybody see what quadrant or quadrants, because it's possible to be in multiple income quadrants they're in today? Everybody see them? If you help me out, just so again that I know who I'm talking to, just type into the chat the quadrants that you are in today's economy. And it's not that where you are is your destination. It's just that we have to build a map to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Am I making sense so far? Oh, the poll is still high in the slide. Is it still there? Sorry about that. We're good? Okay, good, good. Thanks, Marcia. All right. All right, so next, so now thinking about it, I'm going to go through a countdown, and here's my strategy. I just want to take the blinders off of people's eyes relative to the U.S. economic situation, meaning for most people, their I, S quadrant, another in the employee and self-employed quadrant, trying to get into the I quadrant. I love it. I love it. Just knowing where you are helps with establishing a roadmap. But the other thing is knowing on the road there are obstacles. So I'm going to go through, in the time that we have remaining, the 4 challenges that represent as blinders for most people, or at least they did for me. Like, when I share it, for some people it'll be mind-boggling, but it'll also be freeing. Because they say the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off. And truth is, no matter what quadrant we're in today, but especially those of us that are in the I and E quadrant, meaning we're either self-employed, meaning we're self-employed or we work for a living, we have 4 financial challenges that we have to overcome, most of which we were not educated about in our formal education through the grades or through our college degrees. Now, the 4 challenges are, number 1, inflation. Everybody familiar with the concept of inflation?
Yes.
What inflation simply means, we call it the silent income killer. So if you're taking notes, jot these things down. So 4 challenges, we'll talk about 3 solutions, 2 goals and objectives that everyone has, and 1 decision that you need to make at the end of our conversation today in order to get on the road to financial freedom. Does that make sense? So inflation, that's the first thing. Silent killer. Value of the dollar goes down because prices of things go up because of their control by business. Now, because of the pandemic, we're actually lingering in the first sustained manufactured deflation in my adult life. For the first time as a grown man, the price of gas is down because everybody's at home. But just you watch. As soon as people start getting out, going places, planes start flying again, those businesses are not designed to have their prices stay down. They're going to go through the roof. But at the same time, the combination is taxes. The second challenge is taxes. And we call taxes this chainsaw massacre. And it's in this way. Think about this from a work point of view. Average American wage earner pays out 30% of their income in income taxes. That's just between state and federal. So 1/3 of your paycheck's already gone to taxes in most cases before it even hits your account. Meaning you went to work, you did the work, but the government got paid before you did. But then after that, everything that we spend our money on is taxed. If you got a home, you got to pay property tax. Got a car, you got ad valorem tax. Every time you go to the store, there's a sales tax. We get tax on taxes, 30 to 50% of our total spend in the house. Your biggest bill is taxes. And it's invisible, but it's true. Now, the next thing that factors in, so if you think that taxes take the first third of the average American's income, what we call the family curse or debt takes the very next 1/3. So already 66% of the money is gone, and it's because we are sold debt at such an aggressive rate. Meaning the way that life works in America, if you got a home, you got a mortgage. If you got a car, you got a car note. If you got students, you're gonna need some loans. If you got credit, you're gonna need some car. How many of you have at least 2 of those debt cycles in your life right now? So it's not just you, but that's the second third of income that's gone for people. And then there's an ongoing system in America called big business. I'll just call it corporate America, our retail culture that actually challenges our path to wealth in 2 ways. Now, normally big business, because of retail extraction, there's always that subliminal ongoing advertisement and cycle of extraction of money from your pockets. I think this might be the first year in my life where where Easter and Mother's Day both saw the biggest churches in the world empty, right? Now, at the same time, if you're anything like me, and you have a significant amount of your wealth invested through your employer's retirement plan, like a 401k or an IRA, it's hinged on the stock market. Stock market is volatile and up and down like crazy this year because of the uncertainty. And as you get further along in age, you really have less time to think about letting the market ride till it gets back to where you need it. Just think about if you're one of those people that's worked all these years and needed to retire 2 months ago, where the stock market hit a 22% drop and a 28% drop in the same week. So knowing the challenge, so that's the first step, knowing the challenge. So 4 challenges down: inflation, taxes, debt, big business. The average American, their last third of income goes out the window with big business, creating more debt. It's 100% of the income gone, is why no matter how many raises I got, always felt like I had the same amount of money in my bank account until, everybody type into the chat, until first I understood the reality, which was those 4 challenges and how they were affecting me. And 2, I learned to make a shift. We're going to make a paradigm shift, and a paradigm is not 2 dimes. A paradigm is the way that we think. But if we change the way that we think about our money, we can change the things that we do. And our concept simply is income shifting. There are 3 strategic solutions, 3 strategies that you can employ to not only start the path of moving yourself from the employee quadrant to the investor quadrant, but start doing them at an accelerated pace with help. Everybody, if you know you need some help, raise your hand, say, I need help. So the 3 strategies in income shifting: number 1, increase your cash flow; number 2, increase your business income; and number 3, increase investment income, right? Now, why do we offer those 3 strategies? And it's simple. First, it's just understanding tax treatment in America. In America, as an employee, you are taxed first and taxed most, meaning if you work for a living, 28 to 33% of your income, out the door to taxes before you even see it. Second thing, business income. With business income, with increasing cash flow, we're going to do three things. We're going to minimize your taxes, minimize your expenses, minimize your debts. In fact, our goal is to eliminate your debts, everything, including the mortgages and the student loans, at an accelerated pace, and at the same time, increase your credit score so that the cost of money goes down for you, but also the cost of things related to credit, like insurance, go down as well. Does that make sense? That's what we'll do first with your existing money, just to help you have more of the money that you had left. Now, second thing with business income, and specifically, I mean that we want to create for you a home-based business income. Reality is businesses are taxed less and they're taxed differently, meaning a business owner's taxed 18 to 25%, and they're taxed after they spend. They're taxed on their profits, on what's left. And with a home-based business, now you get to be tax efficient from the place where you already are. Because where's everybody right now? We're at home. So being at home, you get to write off things that as an employee I couldn't write off, like internet, phone bill, part of the square footage of my home, payments to children. Yes, they are employees. They work here for commissions. All of those things get to be benefits. As an employee, there's only 8 or 9 deductions available. As a business owner, 475 options for things in your lifestyle that can be written off, and you get to generate additional income. So now your increased cash flow, along with the additional income that you're creating, gives you the means to create an investment income. Now, the best thing about investments, it's the history of America, that the lowest tax in America is the tax on money making money. Capital gains are taxed at 15% or less. We teach you to invest in real assets so that you get real estate, so that you get things that perform differently than the market. And then last but not least, we always advocate the most important, best return on investment in the world, an investment in yourself. Because the better you get, better everything around you gets. Make sense so far? Oh, as a matter of fact, let's make this example real. You got to think about this. If we all made $100,000, right? I made $100,000. Vonda made $100,000, and Marcia made $100,000. I'm an employee. Vonda's a business owner, and Marcia is an investor. Well, with my $100,000, I get up, I go to work, I work hard, and I bring home $67,000. Does that make sense? Now, Vonda, she owns her business. It's $100,000 for her. She goes out, she does some work, she tells some other people what to do, but she brings home $80,000. And Marcia, she wakes up at the crack of noon. She doesn't necessarily go out to work anywhere. Her investments go to work. She gets taxed 15%, so brings home $85,000 and has the time and serenity to know she didn't stress herself out to work. If you had a choice of being any of those 3 individuals, which would you be? Investment makes sense, yes?
Marcia.
And then just to take it a step further, here's the reality. The reason that we employ the strategies is we understand that no matter where you're from, and I remember from our check-ins, we had some people from St. Louis, from Jamaica, from Atlanta, from New York, from Alabama, all over the country. For all the places that we're from, everybody really only has 2 objectives financially, meaning financially right now, and that's my dog trying to have his part in the conversation. See that? See that? We're at home and he's doing his job. He's also on the payroll. But anyway, 2 main objectives. Number 1, your current lifestyle has to be taken care of by your labor, by your work. But if the goal is freedom, if the goal at the end of the day is to have a future lifestyle where work is no longer mandatory but optional based on your passion and position, then your investments have to take care of your future lifestyle. And unfortunately, most of us don't get the opportunity to learn about investment strategies that do those things for us. So if you think about the things we talked about, 4 challenges: inflation, taxes, debt, big business. 3 strategic solutions: increase cash flow, business income, and investment income. The 2 goals that they serve, we've partnered with one company to help achieve those goals, and that's with Making Wealth Real Financial. Now, obviously, in our financial education system, there are a number of modules that we put to work with financial experts to help people strategically address the areas where they did not grow expertise. See, is one of the challenges that most people never understand, but there's a saying that says that when a man with money meets a man with expertise, the man with expertise ends up with the money. And that's what's happening to us on a daily basis, because we're not in a position where we have tax experts to help us be tax efficient, where we have credit experts to be credit efficient, where we have equity creation experts to help us own more and owe less. We're always losing. But in our partnership through the system, we have access to experts to help reduce taxes, increase credit, increase equity, and increase your overall wealth. Now, because of our time today, I won't go into detail about any of those things, but say to you, here's the secret, is learning the things we didn't know and finding experts to help. We have a training and success system designed and dedicated to help people through the mind shift that precedes an income shift. Now, in addition to systems to help you with your money, for those of you that like what you're hearing so far, like the conversation and the idea of being able to shift your mind, therefore shift your income and create a new shift for yourself in the cash flow quadrant, I want you to write this information down. So 2 things. So we're down to the one decision that you have to make is, what quadrant do you want to get to, and how soon do you want to get there? Right? And you can tell. How many of you can tell I've talked about this topic before? I'm excited about it. I'm passionate. I'm excited. Reality is, most people need help. They need expertise. They don't know what to do. If you have ever felt that way, you're not alone. If at the end of this conversation, you want more information about both the way to get access to our team of experts to help with building your financial success picture, your financial success blueprint, text or inbox a person that invited you today. Tell them you want access to the upcoming events. Does that make sense? Now, the second question, the second thing that's going to happen, because here's the categories of people that I see in the world. Category 3 person says, thanks, but no thanks. This is good information, but this isn't for me, right? I know enough, and I'm comfortable in my level of knowledge. Fine. Second person says, I have questions. Well, good. This was only a quick overview designed to fit into a 30-minute lunch break, not a lunch hour. If you like the food for finances and food for thought now, jot this down and ask for the invitation. Tomorrow, starting at 11 a.m., we'll do a full overview of both the strategies, but more specifically, the underlying technologies that help through the debt elimination, credit max, and credit improvement and wealth development strategies. That's at 11 a.m. It'll be in Internet, Georgia. You'll wonder where it would be. Right here in the heart of Internet, Georgia. And then followed by a detailed explanation of those that are looking to create some significant, and when I say significant, I'm talking about how we can add an extra comma in income to your life. If you're interested in making significant additional income as a financial educator, make sure that you make note of the information so that we get you the full invite for tomorrow. And then we'll start right away with a quick start training where we'll deal with 2 issues of skill and knowledge, both what to do and how to do it. That's what time? Type it in the chat.
11
a.m. Eastern
11 a.m.
11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I do see some different time zones out here. And that'll be right in Internet, Georgia. Internet, Georgia, that's where you go. Email to get the link so that you don't miss out. And respectfully, if you like what you see, and we like what we see in you as much as I think we will, not only will we make some significant money together, ladies and gentlemen, we'll make history. Y'all have a good rest of your lunch hour. This has been Richard Hardon with Financial Food for Thought, Lunch Money Friday. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow at 11 a.m. in the heart of the internet.
Hey, thank you so much.
Thanks, Richard.
Awesome.
Good day.